In 1993, Steve Wynn opened the Mirage in Las Vegas, and the industry never recovered from it. Not because it failed, because it worked. The Mirage cost $630 million to build, which at the time was the most expensive hotel ever constructed in human history.
Value tax, whether it's going to make any money. We haven't got through that yet.
Every serious analyst in the industry said it needed to generate $1 million a day just to break even. Wall Street called it a vanity project. The Nevada Gaming Control Board approved the license while privately expressing doubt that the numbers were real. The Mirage hit $1 million a day in its first week. It hit $1.3 million by the end of the first year. Within 24 months, it had made back its entire construction cost. Steve Wynn had not built a casino. He had proved that if you make a casino feel like the most extraordinary place a person has ever been, the math inside it will do the rest. Every casino built on the Las Vegas Strip since 1993, the Bellagio, the Venetian, the Cosmopolitan, the Wynn itself, is a direct copy of that single insight. So if you want to understand what you are actually buying when you buy a casino, start there, because the building is not the business. The math is the business. The building is just the machine that holds the math together long enough for it to work. There is no other legal business in the world where the product is mathematically guaranteed to generate a profit on every transaction. Not retail, not banking, not insurance. A casino is the only place where, by design, the house wins more than it loses on every single bet placed. Not sometimes, not usually, always in aggregate over time. The industry calls this the house edge. The concept is simple. Every game is structured so that the payout odds are slightly worse than the actual probability odds. On a European roulette wheel, there are 37 numbers. If you bet on a single number and win, the casino pays you 35 to 1, but the real odds of hitting that number are 36 to 1. That missing unit, that 1 in 37 difference, is where the house edge lives. It is 2.7% on every spin. Invisible on a single bet. Catastrophic over 1 million of them. American roulette adds a second zero to the wheel, one additional pocket. The house edge jumps from 2.7% to 5.26%. The player at the table experiences no difference. The casino's annual revenue from that wheel increases by roughly 95%. Slot machines run a house edge of between 5 and 15% depending on denomination. Penny slots, the ones that look like they cost nothing to play, sit at the top of that range. 12 to 15 cents extracted from every dollar wagered, hour after hour, from a customer who is sitting down, not thinking about it, feeding coins into a machine that is flashing lights at them. Per dollar wagered, a penny slot player is statistically the most profitable customer in the building. They generate 30 times more margin than a professional card counter at a high-limit blackjack table playing perfect basic strategy at a 0.5% edge. This is the foundation, a guaranteed, mathematical, structural advantage on every single transaction. No other business gets to start from that position, so why does anyone ever go bankrupt owning one? Before you can open the doors, before you hire a dealer, before you buy a single chip, you need a license, and the license is not a formality. In Nevada, the application process takes 12 to 18 months of background investigation into every financial transaction you have made in the past decade, every business relationship, every legal dispute, every person you have ever been in business with. The state interviews your family members. They review your tax returns going back years. The annual licensing fee is roughly $770,000, but that number is almost beside the point because the regulatory compliance burden, the compliance staff, the legal counsel, the ongoing reporting requirements, adds another $2 to $4 million a year in overhead before a single game opens. New York issued its first 3 downstate casino licenses in 2025. The application fee alone was $1 million, non-refundable. Each applicant was required to submit a community benefit plan, a labor agreement, a traffic impact study, and an environmental review. Several applicants spent $20 to $50 million on the application process and did not receive a license. Singapore issued 2 integrated resort licenses in 2006, one to Las Vegas Sands, one to Genting, and has issued 0 since. Those two licenses are now worth, conservatively, $10 billion each, simply because the government has confirmed it will never issue a third. Macau, which generated $28 billion in gaming revenue in 2024, issues exactly 6 concession licenses for the entire city. The current round expires in 2032. The companies holding those licenses will spend the next several years negotiating their renewal with a government that holds all the leverage. Every dollar of their market capitalization rests on a document that a single government body can revoke. This is the real business model of casino ownership at the top level. You are not primarily in the gambling business, you are in the license business. The license is a government-created monopoly. The gambling is what the monopoly earns. Walk into any major casino and look at the floor plan. The slot machines are up front near the entrance, spread across the largest possible surface area. The table games are deeper in. The high-limit rooms are further back still, and the whale suites are somewhere you are not going without an escort. This is not aesthetic. It is revenue architecture. Slots generate more gross gaming revenue than all table games combined. On the Las Vegas Strip in 2024, slot machines alone produced $4.9 billion, more than blackjack, baccarat, roulette, poker, and craps added together. They require no dealers. They run 24 hours a day. They never call in sick, never make a mistake, and can be reprogrammed remotely to adjust their payout ratios within the regulatory limits. A floor of 3,000 slot machines is, from a labor cost perspective, far more efficient than 100 table games requiring 400 dealers across 3 shifts. The table games serve a different function. They are not where most of the money comes from. They are where the experience comes from. A casino without blackjack tables is not a real casino in the mind of the customer. The tables provide the theater that makes someone drive 2 hours and spend the weekend. The slots make money while the theater is running. Then there is the player's club card. You have seen this. Free membership. Insert it in the machine, hand it to the dealer, rack up points for comps. From the casino's perspective, this is the most sophisticated data collection operation in retail history. Every bet you place is logged. The system calculates your theoretical loss, the amount you are expected to lose based on your average bet, the house edge of the games you play, and the hours you spend playing. It then returns 5 to 10% of that number to you in comps. Free dinner, free room, free show tickets. In 2024, Las Vegas Strip casinos gave away $4.4 billion in comps. They did not lose $4.4 billion. They spent $4.4 billion to keep customers in the building long enough for the math to finish working. Every comp is a calculated investment in dwell time. The casino knows that if you stay 6 more hours, the house edge will recover the cost of your steak dinner 40 times over. At the very top of the customer pyramid sit what the industry calls whales, high rollers whose individual losses can move a casino's quarterly earnings. There are roughly 300 people on Earth who qualify as true casino whales. They are known by name in every major property. They have dedicated hosts. When one calls, the response is immediate and the resources are unlimited. A serious whale plays at a minimum $25,000 per hand. Over a weekend, their theoretical loss, the amount the house edge expects to extract, can reach $5 to $15 million. The casino will spend $500,000 to $1 million hosting that person. Private jet, penthouse suite, personal chef, whatever is requested. A 10-to-1 return on hospitality spend is considered a reasonable whale economics outcome. The problem is variance. The house edge is a long-run guarantee. In the short run, any outcome is possible. A whale on a 2-day winning streak can walk out of a casino with $10 million in winnings, and the casino has no recourse. Dana White, the UFC president and well-documented high-stakes gambler, won $2 million at the Palms one weekend, came back and won $1.6 million more, and was subsequently banned. Caesars and the Bellagio kept his action because their calculation was different. They expected that over many visits, the math would eventually correct. It almost always does. But almost always and eventually are not the same as certainly and tonight. And a casino that books $50 million in whale action on a single weekend is taking on single-night variance risk that can genuinely move its quarterly earnings. Baccarat, the game of choice for Asian high rollers and the primary driver of Macau's revenue, is particularly volatile because the house edge is small, about 1.06% on the banker bet, and the wagers are enormous. Macau's monthly gaming revenue can swing by 20% based on whether a handful of ultra-high net worth customers happen to win or lose on a given weekend. Wynn Resorts, Las Vegas Sands, and MGM all carry line items in their annual reports specifically disclosing whale variance as a material financial risk. A business with a mathematical edge on every transaction still has to warn its shareholders that a few lucky customers could affect profitability. That is how large the whale problem actually is. Out of every dollar of gaming revenue, roughly 70 to 80 cents disappears before it reaches the bottom line. Payroll is the largest single item. A major strip resort employs between 3,000 and 8,000 people across gaming, hospitality, food and beverage, security, surveillance, maintenance, and administration. It is, in every measurable sense, a city. One that never sleeps, where the lights never go off, and where every position requires continuous staffing 365 days a year. Taxes are the second largest item, and they vary enormously by jurisdiction. Nevada charges 6.75% of gross gaming revenue, which is why Las Vegas remains the most favorable large market regulatory environment in the world. Pennsylvania charges over 50% on slot revenue. New York's new licenses come with a 37% effective tax rate baked into the terms. Macau, despite generating the world's highest gaming revenue, takes 40% off the gross before the operator sees anything. The license grants you access to the monopoly. The government takes its share of everything that monopoly produces. Then there are the costs that are unique to running a place where large amounts of cash change hands continuously. Every table game uses fresh card decks every 4 to 8 hours to prevent marking and cheating. A strip casino goes through millions of new decks per year, all destroyed after use. The Bellagio keeps over $150 million in physical cash on the property at all times. The insurance and logistics for that cash alone costs millions annually. The surveillance infrastructure, cameras covering every square inch of floor, every cashier cage, every parking structure, feeding into a dedicated monitoring center, is more dense than most maximum security prisons. A full surveillance department runs around the clock and does nothing else. Alcohol flows freely, calculated not as a cost but as a revenue multiplier. A slightly intoxicated gambler bets larger, stays longer, and makes worse decisions about when to stop. The casino knows this. The free drinks are not hospitality. They are a delivery mechanism for a product that increases the effectiveness of the house edge. The liability that comes with it, injuries, altercations, customers who lose money and decide someone else is responsible, generates a steady stream of lawsuits and insurance claims that add millions to annual operating costs. Every famous casino bankruptcy in recent history follows one of two patterns, and they are almost always avoidable in retrospect. The first is debt. In 1990, Donald Trump opened the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, financed with $675 million in junk bonds at 14% annual interest. Before a single chip hit a table, the building needed to generate nearly $100 million a year just to service its financing. It missed its first bond payment 6 months after opening. By 1991, it was in bankruptcy. The math inside a casino works. The math outside it, the debt structure, can kill you before the house edge has time to rescue you. The second is building for a customer who does not exist. In 2012, a $2.4 billion property called Revel opened in Atlantic City. It was designed for a younger, wealthier demographic. No buffet, no players club, a smoking ban on the gaming floor. The hedge fund executives it was built for never came. The bus trip retirees it had explicitly rejected never came either. It closed 2 years later and sold for $82 million, 3 cents on the dollar. In 2016, Lucky Dragon opened in Las Vegas, a $160 million boutique property designed entirely for Asian high rollers with feng shui interiors, no fourth floor, and Chinese language signage throughout. It turned out that Asian high rollers who flew to Las Vegas wanted Las Vegas. They wanted the fountains and the scale and the spectacle, not a smaller version of what they had left at home. It closed after 14 months. The math guarantees revenue. It does not guarantee that you understand your customer. If you build this right, sustainable debt, correct market, correct license, correct location, a Las Vegas strip resort doing $900 million in annual revenue will net you $250 to $300 million a year. A small regional casino in a mid-sized American city costs $3 to $5 million to open and clears $1.5 to $2 million in profit annually. The payback periods are short by real estate standards. The operating margins are better than Walmart. In a recession, people do not stop gambling. They gamble differently, at lower stakes, but they do not stop. The casino business is not recession-proof, but it is recession-resistant in ways that almost no other consumer business is. Sheldon Adelson bought his first casino in 1988. By the time he died in 2021, Las Vegas Sands was generating $32 million in revenue every single day. His personal fortune was $35 billion. He did not build it by being lucky. He built it by understanding that in this business, luck is what happens to the customer. The house does not need luck. The house has math, and the only question that ever actually matters is whether you are the house or whether you think you are the customer.